One of the main themes from CES 2026 this year is the emergence of more and more RGB backlit LED LCD TVs, which promise a wider color gamut. But is that true though? Because I'm standing here at Nanosys booth at Display Week 2026 in Los Angeles, where the quantum dot supplier has actually organized this demonstration. Let me explain what the TVs are. So to your right would be the TCL X11 Super Quantum Dot or SQD Mini LED TV using SQD material supplied by Nanosys, whereas to your left would be an RGB Mini LED TV. Nanosys refuses to disclose the brand and the model, but judging from the bezel and also the glossy front finish, my guess that it is an RGB Mini LED TV from TCL as well. And I'm going to play this demo for you to see what's happening on screen. So at first, you can hopefully see that there are several faces of the same person. I don't know whether this is AI generated or not because it's so airbrushed. But if I actually play it, hopefully you can see that as the background changes from red to green to blue, and I'll need to repeat it because this demo doesn't actually have any loop function unlike an Oppo player. So as the background turns red or green or blue, then the face will take on the same hue for an RGB Mini LED TV, whereas on the TCL X11 SQD Mini LED TV, you can see that the flash tones remain consistent regardless of the background, whether it has changed from red to green to blue. So based on this chart, let me explain why the phenomenon is happening that the flash tones will change based on the background on an RGB Mini LED TV. So this chart is the spectral power distribution chart for RGB Mini LED TV and also the Super Quantum Dot or SQD Mini LED TV here. The yellow line here charts the Super Quantum Dot spectral power distribution, whereas the cyan line here charts the spectral power distribution of this RGB Mini LED TV. And you can see that because of the Super Quantum Dot, they are able to make the green peak not only taller, but also narrower in terms of full width half maximum. And what this means is that to maximize the color gamut advantage of the RGB Mini LED TV, different backlight zones need to emit different colors. But once that happens, you can start getting some color crosstalk between adjacent zones. So to show you the effects of this in action, we can use this chart to demonstrate this. So this is a plot of the BT 2020 area and coverage of the RGB Mini LED TV versus the Super Quantum Dot Mini LED TV. And you can see here, if we measure the color gamut using a full screen pattern, you can see that the RGB Mini LED TV actually can achieve even higher than 100% of BT 2020 area. But if we add, say, a background of white and use a 10% patch window, then because of the color crosstalk, the BT 2020 area will start dropping. And if you use a 1% window, it will drop to around 95%, which is still not bad in my opinion, but this is only on a test pattern. And if we actually use real content, I suspect that the drop-off will be even more drastic. And this is the area chart and this is the coverage chart. So area is basically calculating the area that is independent of the actual coordinates of the BT 2020, whereas the coverage means that you are covering according to the coordinates of the 2020. So for example, you have a triangle here. Even if it is outside the BT 2020 and you have a very large area, then you can actually call it 100% of BT 2020, whereas this coverage needs to be aligned according to the BT 2020 standard, and that's basically a difference between area and coverage. And many manufacturers are actually fudging the figures to try and achieve a higher figure depending on whether they are using the area or the coverage figure. To see the effects of color crosstalk in action, this is another test pattern that has been designed by Nanosys, probably taking inspiration from the guys at LG Display who put out some videos basically explaining the problems with RGB Mini LED TVs. So here we have various squares of various colors and there are white crosses here, or what are supposed to be white crosses. But On an RGB Mini LED TV, because of the aforementioned color crosstalk problem, the colors from the adjacent blue square or green square or the red square here will bleed into the upper portion of these white crosses here. So this will take on a slightly bluish hue, greenish hue, and a reddish hue. Whereas on the SQD Mini LED TV from TCL, you can see that the white remains fairly white. Furthermore, if we continue playing this test pattern, you can see white crosses appearing on the top squares. And not only will the white crosses on the RGB Mini LED TV take on the hue of the background, it will also change the color and luminance of the background. And this is the effect of color crosstalk that we have actually explained before. Whereas on the TCL X11 SQD Mini LED TV, the white crosses remain consistent. The color of the background squares also doesn't change. And if I continue playing this presentation slide, and you will be able to hopefully see the effects of the appearance of white crosses on these squares changing the color gamut measurements, whereas on the SQD Mini LED TV, it remains consistent regardless of the presence of the white crosses on these color squares. And we come back to this final pattern, and this is the effect of color crosstalk, which I think is a problem that will affect most, if not all, RGB Mini LED TVs. And there is a way for RGB Mini LED makers to mitigate this problem, and that is by switching from the RGB backlight to a white backlight to retain color accuracy, to reduce the sort of color shift. But it begs the question, if you actually have to use white backlight to retain color accuracy, to preserve color fidelity, why do you need to actually pay more for an RGB Mini LED TV in the first place? And that is really the question that this whole Nanosys demonstration wants you to ponder before you commit to an RGB Mini LED TV in the near future.